My name is Sinead McCrohan. I work in student recruitment in DCU, and I'm delighted to welcome you to another installment of our webinar series, Discover Your Future at DCU. You are here today because you probably have an interest in the DCU Business School, specifically our Business Studies International course and also Global Business. So today we are going to be joined by a number of panelists who are best placed to talk to you about these courses. We have two lecturers and chair people, and also two students, one current student and one graduate who has been through each course, just to give you, I suppose, a student and an academic perspective to these courses. So just before we add our panelists into the call, I'll draw your attention to the Q&A function on the screen below. If you have any questions at all throughout our chat for the next 30 minutes or so, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A box and we will make sure that they're addressed before the end of the session. So without further ado, I'm going to attempt to add in our panelists, which is always the difficult part of this. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Damien Dupre, who is the Programme Chair of Global Business in DCU. Damien, you're very welcome. We have Dr. Gary Sinclair, who is the Programme Chairperson of Business Studies International. Gary, you're very welcome. We have Molly De Bruin, who is our current student in Business Studies International in DCU. And we have Rebecca Keogh, who is a graduate of Global Business. Let's count how many times I've said business already in this webinar. Damien, you're very welcome. I can see you there.
Hi everyone, hi Sinead. I'm very happy to be there and to introduce the program, which is very complex but so amazing. You will see.
Extremely exciting courses in DCU and always in demand. We have a lot of queries always coming in about these two courses. Hi Molly, how are things? You can see you there.
Hi, good, how are you?
Good, thank you. And Rebecca, you're in as well. And then we'll just wait to see Gary and we will be good to go.
Yeah, here now. Hey,
perfect. That's great. That's always a stressful moment for me, but I seem to have done it all right. But thank you very much for each of your time today. I know it's a busy part of the semester for everyone involved. Rebecca, you're probably working away as well with various things that we'll hear about in a while. And for everyone who is attending, I hope that you enjoy the session. So we might kick off. Gary, I might go to you first and ask you, I suppose, from an academic or program chair perspective, tell us all about Business Studies International.
Oh yeah, how long have we got?
Loads of time, don't worry.
Yeah, so I've been chairing the program for nearly 5 years now, and what I would say about it is for students in the position of, looking at the Leaving Cert and looking at where they're going to go in university, it's a good choice, I suppose, as a double major. If you're interested in languages and you're interested in business and even beyond business, if you're interested in kind of issues around culture and that too, it's a good program for that. You get a good kind of foundation in core business subjects that you get in any other business degree in DCU, but you also get the kind of emphasis on language, the year abroad as well, and then as well as that, it's kind of geared towards specializing towards a particular aspect of business towards the end of the degree, whether that's in marketing, HR, economics, etc. So there's time and space within the degree as well to figure out what you're good at and what you're interested in. I suppose similarly to Global Business, the highlight of it is the opportunity to study abroad and what comes with that. And similarly to Global Business, both degrees kind of, I suppose they're smaller in size in terms of numbers that we accept. So I think that also helps in terms of kind of the culture around the degree and the kind of social aspect with students, particularly with the language, because you'd be in language classes with a smaller number of students than typical business students or typical business modules.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Gary. For anyone who is maybe wondering how much language is it versus business, how is that time split, say, roughly between studying the language and studying business separately?
Yeah, in the contact hours, it's 1/3 languages and 2/3 business. But I think Molly would probably back me up here that in reality, in terms of the amount of work you do, it probably works out as maybe 50-50. I don't know, Molly, you could correct me on that.
For sure, I think, yeah, definitely half and half would be more valid, I think.
Brilliant. And the languages that we have on offer for international business or Business Studies International would be French, German, Spanish, Chinese and Japanese. And Gary, you might be able to hop in terms of entry requirements there.
Yeah, so for the students that are coming in this year, there's no beginners level, so you'd be well, there's beginners level in Chinese and Japanese, but for students studying French, German, or Spanish, it would be expected that you do that in the Leaving Cert already.
Cool.
And yeah.
So for students, they listening, they kind of have the choice, I suppose, to either continue on at intermediate level, say, with the language they're doing through Leaving Cert, or pick up, as you said, Chinese or Japanese from beginners level. And in terms of, and maybe this will cross over into global business as well, but the sort of business modules in first year, it's all introductory, I suppose, and then you build on that. Yeah,
that's actually a really important question. Like for students studying or considering any business degree within DCU, is that like you don't necessarily have to have studied, say, economics or finance and accounting. They'll all be introductory modules. Like, so, you're picking them up from the start, and often that can be actually kind of an advantage for students, that they're kind of not bringing in maybe bad habits from the Leaving Cert as well. So there can be advantages with that as well. And like, you don't necessarily have to have studied any business subject to come in, so that's helpful as well too. So you'll get that grounding,
It's certainly worth mentioning. That goes for any course research that students are doing. Make sure to look at the entry requirements, because you might be surprised in that you don't need to have studied business or accounting to do it in DCU, which is great. So don't count yourself out if you're not doing those currently for Leaving Cert. Gary, thank you for that overview in terms of the academic side of things. So Molly, you have lived through this course. How has that been for you?
It's been so good. I'm currently on my Erasmus at the moment. I'm in final year because we did final year last year, but usually go in your third year. And I've really liked it so far. Like, I've made such brilliant friends, especially as Gary said, like in the French classes. Well, I do French, so you're such a smaller group. So like, I've made my core friends from there, and then you figure out everyone else from different language classes, and then the business modules. And like the first year, you really get a basis, well, not even a basis, like a really good level of most business modules. Like, I did marketing, operations management, human resource management, finance, accounting, everything. And then you do that for first and second year, and then for third year you specialize in something. So I did marketing, but I know loads of my other friends did loads of other things and they loved it as well. And so you get like more in-depth knowledge about your specialized subject, which was really cool. And then in our final semester, we did a paper, which was, I think, 5,000 words on a topic of your choice in your specialism. So you really get like specialized in one certain aspect of your specialism, which is really good. And French language classes were great. They really prepared me for going abroad. And honestly, the best part has been living in Toulouse, having such a good time, making so many friends. Like, it's been brilliant. I loved it.
Well, that's so great to hear. When you were, say, coming in as a first year, Molly, were you real nervous to like continue with French, and like, did you think you'd ever be ready to move abroad?
No, not at all. Like, especially like Leaving Cert, they tell you like how to introduce yourself and your family and your hobbies, and then you get it in a French university, and you're talking about marketing and everything in French. But you really do get like your French is really good before you go, and it gets so much better in your year abroad. Like, it's amazing how much you learn just by living in France, speaking French daily. Like, you actually like I'm almost finished now, and I genuinely have improved so much, like from the start since September, even, like so much, my French especially.
Yeah, it's that immersive experience, isn't it? Really, like as good as a classroom is, and on lectures, you kind of just have to live it, I think, to really get that experience. So to sum up global business, it's a 4-year course. You're studying a language with business, and you go abroad for 1 year on an Erasmus. So if anyone has any questions, any viewers who would like to follow up about Business Studies International, whether it's about certain modules you study or options for years abroad, please pop them in the Q&A box. So we might move over now to Damien to chat about global business.
Yes, so instead of looking at the similarities with international business, because there is a lot of similarities, I'm going to focus on the big differences. So contrary to international business, global business is 2 years abroad. And we have also in the program 2 internships, 2 6-month internships. And finally, the biggest difference is that you will be graduated not only from DCU, but also from the partner university. So these are the major differences. And students, they really enjoy it because you have the immersion total in the country abroad. 2 years, it's plenty of time. Plus, the second internship is in the country that you are in. So that's a very nice experience in an organization abroad that you can bring back home in Ireland, or to stay and work in our partner countries, France, Germany, Spain, or the US and Canada.
That's great. So those internships sound really cool. So you do one in Ireland and one abroad. Are those, say, both organized by DCU, or how does that work?
No, just the one in Ireland is supported by DCU. So at DCU, you will have a platform on which you can apply to these positions and try to compete with other students. But I'm very happy that 100% of our students are placed in our internship. So that's for Ireland. When you are abroad, in fact, you are a real student from the partner university. So you will use their own facility, for example, the platform from the French, German, or Spanish partner. And of course, you can also find your own internship by yourself if you have a nice network.
That's brilliant. So I suppose we kind of covered studying languages, saying how that works as part of international business. But say if you wanted to go to the USA or Canada with global business, what are you maybe doing studying in replace of a language, given that they're speaking English as well?
Yes, so you will have a little bit of North American culture and how the organizations are working in this culture, and you will have a little bit more of business and economics and data analytics.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Damien. So Rebecca, you again have been through the course yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe even how you chose global business and how you found it as a degree?
Yeah, so I'm actually a final year student in Germany, in Reutlingen. I think I always wanted to study abroad, or I always wanted to be like more part of an international community when I was in school. So coming across a course that would give me 2 degrees, 2 internships, and hopefully fluency in German or like a language, like by the time you're graduated, just seemed like the dream course. Like it was so strange that it's so unique to DCU. So I think that's really what drew me towards it. And it's not just like your normal Erasmus, like 1 year abroad or like a semester abroad. You get 2 full years and you're a full, as Damien said, like you're a full student of the other university. And it's honestly like a slightly different course as well. Like in DCU is called Global Business, but like here, for example, it's called International Management. So you really do feel that like sense of like you're doing like one obviously full degree, but like you're getting 2 degrees at the end of it.
Yeah.
So you're really getting the full experience. And I think the internships also was like a big selling point. Like I got to do one in Dublin, and yeah, I did. Obviously DCU helped me like get that internship, and I actually got offered a graduate program for that. So I have that for 2023. So I felt like really supported by DCU from that aspect. And then in Germany, obviously I have a platform also in my college, and I actually got my internship also through the Reutlingen platform. So I got one in a startup in Berlin in marketing. So in DCU, I got to try auditing, and here I did marketing. So you get a lot of chances to do like different things. So I think that's also a big thing. You go into business and you're not really sure like how you'll come out of it. But I think like I've definitely settled more in like the marketing aspect of it at the end of it. So that's really fun. And in terms of the language aspect, yeah, so like you obviously have support in DCU. As you said, like it really is just a classroom environment. You don't really get the fluency until you're in the other country. Obviously I'm only speaking from the perspective of the European countries, like Canada and America are different, but I know as well that you still get the opportunity to continue your like leaving cert languages if you still want to do languages, even going on to those courses. I know students from theirs were also in my like German classes, for example. But you can also like get involved in like increasing your fluency while you're still in DCU. Like there's tandem partners that you can like be set up with through like the international office and stuff. And I personally joined ESN DCU, and I've been part of them for like 2+ years at this point, and I'm like on their committee now, and it's like great to still be involved in like DCU life, even though I'm abroad in Germany now. And it's a real like good international environment. And like with ESN, for example, like you can go abroad and be part of ESN in like whichever city you're going to. Like it's in most cities across Europe anyway. So yeah, I'd also say like just from the student perspective, like university is so much more than just your lectures too. Like you really need to get involved in like clubs and societies, and I cannot like say that enough because I don't think I really did in my first year of college. And Germany doesn't have like the same level of clubs and societies. I'm not sure, I can't speak the same for like France and Spain, for example, but like you really should take advantage of like Irish student like clubs and society life, and like exploring other passions related to like what you do or don't know you already like. So yeah, that's probably everything I have to say at this point.
Yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. Good, as you make it sound so easy. Yeah, just a couple of internships, a couple of years, and also a grad program. Ready to go. Fair play to you, but that's a testament to yourself, but also DCU with the support that they give students and the industry connections that we have, and that's why there are so many internships available for the DCU Business School. Is because of all those connections that have been made, and stellar graduates leaving. And I'm delighted as well that you spoke about clubs and societies, because it isn't just all about lectures. That's maybe what your parents want to tell you for any students listening and go to college and get all good grades, but it is about making memories as well, and clubs and societies are fantastic for that. If anyone has any questions, any listeners that would like to ask our panelists, please do before the session comes to an end. I might ask maybe Molly and Rebecca, any advice for incoming first years who are going to come into either global business or business studies international? What advice would you give them?
Well, I went to school quite far away from DCU, so I went and I didn't really know that many people. And like Rebecca said, like I joined a few societies that were brilliant, so I'd recommend doing that. But also just like it will be overwhelming at the start because there's so many new things going on. Like you won't really you have new timetables, new French, especially the French classes. I kind of found them a little bit intimidating at the start, but then once you get into it, then it's great. But like don't be nervous. Like if the first 2 weeks are a little bit hard, because they will be, but then once you get into it, like honestly your experience will be so good, it'll be so worth it.
Great, thank you. Rebecca, would you agree?
I'd agree with all of that, and I'd also say like regardless of what course you do, every single person in first year is in the same position as you. So if you're afraid to go up to someone and talk to them, remember like they don't have friends either in their first couple of weeks of school. And even if they know people, they want new friends too. Every single person is in the same position. So really like put yourself out there, talk to new people, join new clubs and societies, join things you've never joined before, just to try them out. Like your first year is like the perfect opportunity to like try new things and meet new people who you never think you'd talk to or try before.
I just add to that as well, like don't be I remember too when I was first year in college or university, you'd be intimidated by the lecturing staff and things like that too, that like everyone is in the same position there as well, and like DCU was very kind of friendly atmosphere as well with staff as well, so don't that's one thing to consider.
Yeah, I know that our students like as well that in DCU your lecturers, you dress them by their first names, which I think even takes down that barrier of calling someone by their surname. It's very friendly in DCU, and the lecturers are super supportive. We do have a question that's come in, so maybe Damien and Gary, you might see it in the Q&A, just about kind of contact lecture hours for each of these programs. Could you give a rough estimate?
Is it per week? I suppose every module has roughly 22 to 24 hours of contact hours. So it probably works out then as about, probably about 15 or 16 hours of contact hours a week. Now, like when especially the parents hear that, they probably think it's not that much, especially compared to like what you do in the Leaving Cert. But a lot of those hours are kind of, a lot of work goes into preparing for those hours, and in terms of, I suppose, doing the work that comes off those lectures or tutorials, so it does end up being, relatively full-time kind of job as well. So that's one thing to consider, because a lot of degrees would be kind of similar in terms of the makeup of how many hours they have a week. It would be around 15 to 20 a week, depending on the course, especially business courses and kind of social science courses, they tend to be a little less in terms of contact hours.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Gary. Would that be much the same for global business, Damien, about 15, 16 contact hours?
Yes, it's exactly the same. Well, except for the semester in which you are in the internship. So that means, for example, for the Irish internship, you are starting in the beginning of semester 2 of second year. That means January, and you finish in July. And it's full time, so I don't know, 39 hours per week. But thankfully, most of the internship are paid, so that's a real job. But the remaining parts of lectures is similar to international business.
Great, thank you, Damien. We have a question come in about I suppose the points rising, which is everyone's concern, especially given the jump last year. And I suppose the honest answer is we don't know how the points are going to go. It depends on how well in general students do in the Leaving Cert, and then how many places we have available on the courses. If there's thousands of students competing for a course that only has 5 places, the points might go up, they could go down if there's less demand. We don't have any insider knowledge. I promise you, we get asked a lot if we can give any hints. Genuinely, we don't know. It totally depends on how the Leaving Cert goes for everyone. But obviously we hope that as many students as possible can get into these courses with reasonable points. So the very best of luck for that. Please do send in your questions if there's anything else, just as we come to the end of the session. We do have an on-campus open day coming up on the 2nd of April, which is not this Saturday coming, the following Saturday. And you can come to our Glasnevin campus in particular, where these courses take place, actually see the business school that we've been talking about, potentially meet some of these lecturers if you'll be around on the open day, chat to our current students. There might even be some graduates floating around, and you can really ask your questions there as well if anything comes up. What I'm going to do now is play a short video giving you a tour of the DCU Business School so you can see what it looks like. Then I'll check back in and see if there are any more questions, and if not, everyone can go and then enjoy the rest of their summer's evening, it seems, because it's a lovely day where I am in Dublin as well. So let me just share my screen here, and let me just make sure my audio will share as well.
Welcome to DCU Business School, where the business leaders and innovators of tomorrow are made. The business school is AACSB accredited, an award earned by less than 5% of the world's business schools. Here, students study accounting and finance, global business with a choice of language, marketing, innovation and technology, Bachelor of Business Studies, and aviation management with pilot studies. But it's much more than that, as you'll get to meet new friends and make future connections with people in the world of business and marketing. The building has 3 floors, with a selection of large lecture halls, classrooms, computer labs, boardrooms, an executive level for events, seminars and lunches, and its own restaurant on the 2nd floor. The ground floor foyer is a social space sponsored by Ernst & Young, where students can chat and catch up between breaks in class. This digital notice board displays useful information and our social media feeds. They often post about work opportunities and scholarships, which is really helpful. On the stairs to the 1st floor, we pass our industry wall, illustrating the caliber of companies we collaborate with through internships, research and other partnerships. The restaurant on the 2nd floor is a great meeting place for a chat or something more practical. Here, you'll often find groups of students discussing group projects over lunch or having one-to-one meetings over coffee. Thanks for joining us on this tour of DCU Business School. Now time to head outside and enjoy the rest of DCU campus.
So you can see all of that and more in the flesh if you come along to our open day Saturday week, the 2nd of April. I don't see any more questions coming in, which means our speakers have answered everything that people need to know within their couple of minutes talking. So thank you so much to our panelists who have joined us today. Really appreciate your time. And this is a great resource for students to have, as they're interested in doing some research as a CAO comes to a close in the summertime. If anyone is watching this back on record and you do have a question, you can contact us at studenthelp@dcu.ie and we can make sure to find the answer for you. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Emil. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.